everyone, and welcome to episode 18 of the ForneverWorld podcast. I am your host, ForneverWorld, as always, alongside my co-host and very good friend, Daniel Santos, aka Shintai Reviews. Shintai, it's been a couple weeks. The people need a good one. Tell the people what's going on, what's up, what's poppin'.
What's up?
Well then, I don't know if you scared them off, like this is the end of the episode now.
Well, you know, I'm getting old, so my voice is going too.
just a wince, lad. Oh shit.
Yeah, you know, it's funny. In the last episode, some people said I looked really fucking young, and I'm gonna blow everyone's minds. You know, for anyone that doesn't know, I'm 31 years old. I ain't no whippersnapper. I ain't no spring chicken. I'm an old fuck.
Yo, imagine how different this show would be if we started doing this show back when, like, we first started hanging out and chatting and shit in, like, 2011. Oh my god, this would be...
Dude, this would be, like, episode, like... 320, like
it would be insane.
420,
and the content would be so fucking different because, like, you know, I'm 29 and I've matured a lot from those days. But if we was in like 2011 doing this shit, my god, it'd be like it'd be a slobber knocker, to quote.
No, it'd be crazy. You know, and we'd be talking about like shit that came out around that time, right? Like, we'd be talking about Attack on Titan, like, when it was on, like, the cusp of pop, like, when it was, like, you know, riding the wave of just, like, holy shit, it's the biggest thing ever.
Mm-hmm. And that, I guess that's, you know, you saying that's such a testament to what Attack on Titan was. Like, I still, even with Demon Slayer's immense popularity, everything that's come, there hasn't been anything that took the world by storm of anime since Attack on Titan.
No, Attack on Titan was like a phenomenon. Like, there was nothing like it before or since. It's so
you couldn't
weird.
escape that shit. Like, especially the memes with the opening. How many parodies were done with that?
And I think because of that, it caused people to be, I'm going to say, unfair towards Attack on Titan because it was so overhyped, because it was so in your face. There was a backlash. There were people that were like, nah, it's trash. You people are, you know, making it out to be more than what it is. But, like, I've noticed a resurgence. I've noticed that people nowadays, there are way more people that are like putting their foot down. They're like, no, fuck you. Attack on Titan is the GOAT. And it's like, whoa. Like, I've seen people that are like, that are saying that, like, I like Attack on Titan more than Full Metal Alchemist. You know, that's
wow.
Crazy.
You know, I'll be honest, and Full Metal Alchemist is a classic and all of that jazz, but I'd agree with that sentiment. I like Attack on Titan more than FMA, and
valid. Totally valid.
I might get stones for this, but I think Attack on Titan is better than FMA. Like, I know that's crazy, but man, and again, like you said, there was that period of time. A lot of it, you know, there's a lot of variables what made it have that type of dip of people giving a shit or, you know, talking dirt about it and stuff like that. You know, the anime taking forever to come back and shit like that. But boy, has, like what you said, it's done a fucking 180 of, like, people are really giving Attack on Titan its flowers while it's still here, not waiting for 5 years or 10 years after to say, man, you know what? Thinking back, Attack on Titan was great. No, motherfucker, they're saying that it's great now.
You know, I think part of it is, like, there's a lot of people, like, in the anime community that, I don't know why, I think it's like some weird insecurity or something, but, like, they feel the need to, like, to be more negative than they should be. And even when something is, like, genuinely really good, they'll say it's trash just to look better. They'll say it's, like, just so they don't look like a normie or whatever. They'll be like, no, it's trash, it's bad because I have a stick up my ass and I'm a snob, you know?
Oh
Like,
man.
am I wrong? Like,
No, that's what a lot of anime though. A lot of people, they love to pull that shit of like, oh yeah, so what was the main term that people called it back then? Shit, I can't think of the term that people used to call it. Hipster,
elitist.
Elitist. There we go. I remember I even made a video about that like 6-7 years ago about elitists and shit like that. But man, yeah. Attack on Titan. I don't even know how we started off with this random Attack on Titan discussion, but fuck it, yeah, Attack on Titan.
Whatever, man. Just sometimes you just gotta let it go. Be loosey goosey. Let that shit fly.
Oh, facts. So the topic we came up today is kind of an amalgamation of a topic that I had come up with on my own, and Shintai came up with it on his own, and it was interesting because they kind of aligned pretty well of like what we were both thinking for this episode. Obviously we took last week off because a slew of the seasonal anime came out, so we was focused on this, that, and the third. But one of the things that came to my mind with that season of anime was, what makes you give a fuck about an anime? You know, that was kind of my mindset. And then Shintai on his side, what would you title what your thoughts were for today's topic?
I didn't come up with a specific title, but I guess to like summarize, it's basically what makes people jump on the bandwagon or the hype. Yeah, which again, it kind of aligns nicely with both, and it's also a great time to talk about it because fall 2020 anime season has been immense. Everybody's talking about so many different shows, from Burn the Witch to Jujutsu Kaisen to Shintai's favorite, and we will get into it in a little bit, people, Yashahime Princess Half Demon, the Inuyasha spin-off sequel. I must say this right now. I refreshed my Crunchyroll subscription just to watch Yashahime for you motherfuckers. Motherfuckers.
Don't let him fool you. He did it for himself. People, don't let him fool you.
And for my sister, because she loves Inuyasha. Like, no joke. My sister fucking, no cap, loves Inuyasha. So I wanted her to see it too. Because I'm a good big brother. That's what good big brothers do.
That's how it be, though. Nothing but great AF. Okay, let me stop. No. Oh, shit. So, I guess let me lead off with what makes you give a fuck about anime. Like, this season, I'm not even gonna lie, because, you know, I was digging Dragon Quest, all sorts of shit. Y'all seen the videos and stuff like that. But one of the things, because I feel like, not to toot my own horn or anything like that, I'm slightly more seasoned, right? I've seen so much anime over the last decade alone that, like, it takes a bit more to wow me and hook me. Sometimes it could be, one of the things is expectations. If I'm expecting something, and maybe this is more of a personal thing, to each his own and shit like that, but where my expectations lie is how I can get hooked to a show. For example, Dragon Quest. I really was like, it was like a second thought to me, like, there's so many anime, maybe I'll throw that in there. I think we roughly talked about it in the podcast episode where we was talking about the upcoming season and shit like that.
Yeah, I kind of like lambasted it for like not being an adaptation of the new game that came out, because to me it was so weird. Like, it's the brand new Dragon Quest game, Dragon Quest 11. Everyone loves it. People are saying it's one of the best Dragon Quest games to come out since Dragon Quest 8. And, you know, because that was like the last great Dragon Quest game to come out. And so it just seemed weird to me that they wouldn't adapt it.
And, you know, on top of that, Toei Animation. You know what, Toei, a la World Trigger.
They some chuckle fucks sometimes.
So I'm going into Dragon Quest Adventures of Dai like, let's see what this is. You know, I probably won't watch any after, is what I'm thinking when I'm going into it. And I leave that thinking, this is a hidden gem. People aren't talking about this. More people need to know about this. Like, it gave me some vibes, and again, I made a video about it, so I'm not gonna go too much into it, but it gave me vibes of, like, the main character felt like Gon Freaks from Hunter x Hunter. It gave me vibes, which, yeah, big words there, I know, and some people might agree, maybe disagree, whatever, but it gave me vibes of like the adventure feel of OG Dragon Ball. Now, mind you, the character designs were created by Akira Toriyama. There's probably some inspiration from the team or whoever made the manga at the time. Probably was with Toriyama's storytelling in mind when they made it, because again, this is an older story. And I was just blown away. Like, first of all, seeing what this inspired. Like, more than likely, this series, and maybe I'm off, and I'm sure somebody in the comments is going to tell me about some OVA that came out in 89 that actually came up with the concept and shit, but it feels like this inspired Pokemon with the Pokeballs. Crazy shit. Like, little things like that, on top of the fact that my expectations were low, on top of the fact that I thought Toei was just going to shit the bed with this. The art and animation was great. The fight scenes was great. The main character was cool. This world is exciting, and the world building in this episode alone, and finding out about these little slime creatures that, again, I'm not that versed in Dragon Quest, you know, the franchise as a whole. So to me, I'm just like, this is fucking insane. And that right there is one of the things that made me give a fuck. The fact that I didn't know what to expect, and I expected very, very little. So that's one of the things that would make me jump on board on this one. What is your take on one thing that gives you or makes you give a fuck about an anime?
I think you hit on something there when you were talking about like your lack of expectation. I think that's really important. I think a lot of the time, not all the time, but I think a lot of the time our favorites come around when we're not expecting anything.
Yeah.
Because whenever I think back to like stuff that I checked out, it's stuff that it's like it was on a whim, or like, oh, whatever, I guess I'll check it out, and then all of a sudden I'm like blown away, and I'm like, what is this? Where's this been all my life? Like, right? Like,
yeah. I don't know why, I'm just imagining that was your reaction when you found Inuyasha back in the day. What is this?
Yo, I'm not even gonna lie. I'm not even gonna front. When I was in middle school, that's when I first watched Inuyasha, and I was a big fan at the time. So that was my reaction. I was like, what?
This is evolutionary. Holy fucking shit.
Well, you have to understand, like, at the time, there wasn't a lot of anime. Like, there was very slim pickings for me.
Yeah.
Like, I did, so Inuyasha was like, when you look at Inuyasha compared to like everything else that was available, which wasn't much, it was like hitting gold in like a sea of shit. Like, what else did I have to watch? Like fucking Johnny Quest or whatever? Like, get that out of my face. Like,
yeah, I mean, those are the times where, and to this day, we still all love it and appreciate it and shit like that, but those are the times where Dragon Ball Z was the greatest piece of anything in the entire world. Dragon Ball Z is life, Dragon Ball Z is air, Dragon Ball, and we respect it and love it, and Dragon Ball as a whole still holds up in several regards to this day. But at that time, like you said, slim pickings, we have very little amounts of exposure to this medium, so whatever we can get our hands on, and it even slightly is something that blows us away. We're like, oh my fucking God.
And it would be something that we would cherish, because like we had nothing, so what the little that we had, we held on to it, and it took a long time for me to get over Inuyasha. I remember I watched a lot of it. Hey, you fucking laugh, but like, again, I didn't have anything else. Like, dude, like,
no, you said it like if it was just this horrible breakup. It took me a long time to get over Inuyasha.
Inuyasha beat me. Inuyasha emotionally abused me.
Yeah. Sad boy. Oh, fucking shit, yo.
But like, going back to what we were talking about before, like, again, I think a lot of it comes down to expectation, because when have you ever gone into a series or an anime where people hyped you up, where it actually lived up to the hype? Like, a lot of the times it doesn't happen. And it's really, like, if we're being honest with ourselves, a lot of the time it's not any fault of the show in question. It has a lot to do with the fact that our expectations were blown out of proportion. And the reason why those people are so hyped about it in the first place is because they went into it without that hype, without that expectation.
You know, it's funny you say that because I've recommended Yu Yu Hakusho to a lot of people throughout the years. And don't get me wrong, some people, they fall in love with it, tell me I was right about it and all that jazz. But I always stay stunned, confused, and just like mind blown when people come back and say, hey man, I think you oversold it. To be honest with you, it was boring. Those episodes where Yusuke is running around, I couldn't get through it. I had to drop it. I just sit there like, what the fuck? And it's probably because I oversold it. Probably the way because, you know, I talk about Yu Yu Hakusho like if it's fucking God and shit. So that right there shows a little bit of proof to what you're saying, that, yeah, sometimes you could even oversell the shit out of it and fuck it up for somebody in a way of like, hey, this is the greatest thing in the world. And then they watch it expecting, you know, 11 out of 10, and they might not be able to reach that because the expectation is so unrealistic.
Yeah, because of that, I've learned to temper whenever I recommend something. I try the best I can to not like go over the top with it. I try not to be like, oh my god, it's the best thing ever. But I always try to like keep myself in check and be like, and I give them as little as possible. I give enough to give them like a reason to check it out, but I don't give them too much, because then, yeah, you run the risk of like giving someone the wrong idea, and then because I think what happens is these people, they go into it and they're like, okay, impress me, and then they yeah, right, like they build up this idea in their mind, then they don't want to like it because they set themselves up for failure in a weird way.
It's crazy though, because it's so hard for me to not like, if I watch something and it's like mind blowing to me, I feel like I have to scream it on mountaintops to the world. Oh my god, let me tell you about the good book. Like that's my problem right there. It's like, and I'm, you know, maybe a part of it is due to me talking about anime on YouTube and, you know, coming up with content for 10 years now and shit like that, you got to be enthusiastic to do anything that, you know, takes that amount of time and being that dedicated to it for all these years and shit like that. But with me, it's like with ReZero, for example, I know I probably 20 out of 10'd it to you a billion times and shit, but it's so hard for me not to, because like, and I'm not saying that people the way you recommend it is because you're less passionate or anything like that, but my passion, it just blows my mind, and it's like I can't, I'm like a fucking, I don't know, a crack addict of like, I must tell them, I must.
By the way, I'm still waiting on Right Stuff to send me that shit, because when I ordered it, there was on like back order, I guess, or something, and they're still waiting to send it to me, and I'm like, you motherfuckers, send me my fucking anime.
they need to hurry up and send you that 20 out of 10, oh my god, greatness. There I go again. Oh shit. And you know, looking at this season of anime and shit like that, like I said with the Dragon Quest situation, but then there's the exact opposite, like, or not even, I don't want to say the exact opposite, because for the most part everything I watched this season was pretty damn good and shit, but like I've seen some people say with Burn the Witch, which I enjoyed it was dope, all of that jazz, but I've seen some people saying that they were very let down, and a lot of it is due to the fact of it having that link to Bleach. They was like, I went in there, I wanted something like Bleach, and instead I got two bitches on a broom. Like that was something that I had seen, and I can understand that, like, you know, especially that's something that's been more so played with nowadays, where they'll loosely tie something to an even bigger entity to get it some gas. Like they did that with what was it, Jocko, they connected it to Dragon Ball and shit like that. So I can see people having a disappointment in that regard, and that's to blame with just marketing. Like that in my opinion, that's all with the marketing issue of like, hey, how do we get this shit to get on that next level very, very quickly without having to have the slow burn of like word of mouth and shit like that? Well, let's just say it's a sequel or a spin-off in a very loose way to something that they already love, which I have some reservations about that too, because again, on a marketing level, that's genius. That's great. Like, you're immediately giving it a leg up in the race. But it could also fall in your face because those people, like, especially like Burn the Witch, thankfully had a small amount of those people. Majority of people were excited and enjoyed it and shit like that. But if it turned out really bad where everybody was like, or a good majority of people were like, what the fuck is this? I wanted more Bleach. I wanted something like Bleach. It could have been bad.
Yeah, that mentality, I can't vibe with that, because like, imagine if people went into Hunter x Hunter and dismissed it because it wasn't more Yu Yu Hakusho.
I could see that
missing
happening.
out on greatness.
I could see that happening though. People are like, where's Yusuke? What the fuck?
I wanted him to look up Keiko's skirt again. What the fuck?
Oh man, but yeah, that would be they'd miss out on amazingness, because Yu Yu Hakusho is great and all that shit, but Hunter x Hunter is damn great too. Like, a lot of people regard Hunter x Hunter as better.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, you do the work a disservice when you go into it with these unfair expectations. Like, you know, let's talk about Gundam for a minute. Gundam has many different series and OVA that do very different things, and expecting them all to do the same thing and you know, holding it against them because Gundam is not like Gundam Zeta or whatever. Like, it's ridiculous. Like, it's not fair to, you know, expect one to be like the other. And I think it comes down to learning to accept it for what it is. I understand to an extent that, like, sometimes it comes down to personal taste and preferences. Like, maybe you just prefer the goofiness and the silliness of G Gundam, and you don't want something that's like super serious like Zeta Gundam. I totally understand that, you know, from like a purely like personal taste point of view. But to say that that's something wrong with the series for that reason, I think is, again, it's not being fair to the work, because you're holding it to a standard of which it was never meant to be judged by.
Yeah. Now, if only Tomino could stop judging. No, let me not get into that bag.
Yo, Tomino had nothing to do with G Gundam, just to be clear. He did make Zeta Gundam. He had nothing to do with G Gundam.
As far as I'm concerned, he's the catalyst to every single door that opens with the word Gundamu, Gundamu.
Yo, when it comes to Tomino, I exercise the right to separate the art from the artist. Like, you know, I fully admit and that he's a jackass. But you know what? He's a jackass that has made god tier shit. So you know what? I just ignore him and I just accept the work that he's made. You know,
I think a lot of people feel like that about Miyazaki, because Miyazaki's be doing some off the wall shit. Like, I don't know. Do you remember that clip that came out when they were trying to show him some new technology? I forgot exactly what it was. It was like some, what was it? Robots or some art? What was it again? Do you remember?
It was like some like disgusting like zombie looking thing or whatever.
Yeah, it was
like it was some like 3D artwork.
Yeah, I think it was that. It was like animatronics, or like basically robots like doing art, like robots creating art, and you know,
it was something like that. Yeah,
they worked really hard on this technology, and they were really excited to present this shit to Miyazaki. And this motherfucker, in case people don't know who's Hayao Miyazaki, Studio Ghibli, some of the greatest films of all time, especially for anime stuff. It's, you know, legendary, all that jazz. But he was sitting in this room with all these people. They show him the technology, they show him it, and he says, "This is like, what, do you remember the exact wording? It was something like,
like he brought up some story about like his friend that was in a wheelchair, and then he used that to like compare it to the work and say something like, I feel like the people that made this don't know pain, you know. And he was like I am disgusted by this from like the very center of my being, or some shit like that.
Oh,
and
my
it's
God.
like, but here's the thing, right? Miyazaki was being a total asshole. He was being a crotchety old man. But on a personal level, I can accept that from a creator. I can accept creators being dickheads. It's a lot harder for me, however, to accept creators who are morally pieces of shit. Like, you know, that's just me. Like, I could deal with a creator being an asshole. But like, if they're like a piece of shit, like, I don't know, like if I found out that my favorite creator was like an axe murderer in secret, I don't know. I don't think I can enjoy their shit anymore. But I can deal with them like, oh, he treated people, he you know, he said some stupid shit, whatever. Like, you know, I think there's a difference.
To a certain degree, it gets complicated. Like, I never really want to, at this particular point, support new works from Nobuhiro Watsuki, the creator of Rurouni Kenshin, due to the arrest and all that.
See, that's kind of what I'm talking about. Like, in my mind, he's a piece of shit. So, I have a hard time wanting to support him as well. But I don't have a problem supporting Tomino because I don't think Tomino's a piece of shit. I just think he's a dickhead and an asshole.
Oh man, I hope Isayama wasn't fazed by that, because in case people have missed it, because I throw shade at Tomino from time to time here on the podcast. He years ago, probably 6-7 years ago, came out in an interview and was basically bashing Attack on Titan and being pretty disrespectful. And at the time, I remember I was just thinking like, yo, this young creator just finally got some success. The series is blowing up. Why would you shit on him like that? Like, who knows if Hajime Isayama like looked up to Gundam and Tomino? Like, you could argue like the Titans and shit are somewhat modeled after like, you know, the movements of Gundams. Like, there's so many things that you could throw like some comparisons, you know, the war and all of that stuff. So who knows? Maybe he was inspired by Tomino. So for Tomino to come out and disrespect this creator, especially when it's the norm in Japan for, you know, these creators to be a little more modest, or not modest, a little more conservative with their opinions and how they approach things. So the way he came out was just very disrespectful and just shocking and jarring to do that to an upcoming creator who's finally seeing success. Like, I can't remember exactly what it was, but he was like talking shit about Attack on Titan, and I was just like, man, if you don't...
Well, to be fair, like, I don't think he was saying Attack on Titan was bad. It was more so that, like, he didn't like it because, like, for him, like, he just found it difficult to get through because it was... Because, let's be real, Attack on Titan is pretty fucked up.
Gundam can be very fucked up, too.
Yeah. But, like, I think Tomino felt like the designs of the Titans, like, for him, he just found it really disturbing, and it was hard for him to get through for that reason. At least that's based on what I remember. I could be totally off.
Yeah,
I could be totally off. That's just based on what I remember.
If I was Isayama, even if it was just like on my Twitter or some shit, I would have drawn Tomino as a fucking Titan. Say, hey, hope you're not disturbed by this motherfucker. The Tomino Titan attacks.
I mean, if he looked up to him, he probably wouldn't do that. But like, if he didn't give a fuck about him, that would be pretty funny.
That would have been classic, like shutting him down. But yeah, I don't think he'd be able to get away with that because they blackball him in a heartbeat. Like, oh, how dare you disrespect your elder?
Like, see, that's the thing that I don't like about Tomino, though, is that because he's a legend and he's, you know, he can get away with shit like that, and there's nothing that's gonna happen to him because, like, you know, what can they do? Say no to Tomino? Like, who gives a fuck? Like, Tomino, he's single-handedly revolutionized the mecha genre. Like, what the fuck are they gonna do? They can't do shit. So I do think he takes advantage of that, and I do think it is kind of shitty.
Yeah. Now,
but at least he's not like the creator of Rurouni Kenshin. So, You know,
Yeah.
that's where I draw the line. That's for me. That's where I think there's a big fucking difference.
Yeah.
But you know,
let's look at the side of, because we focus a bit on what makes you give a fuck about an anime. Now let's look at it from the side of where you was coming from with your not version, but the way you were looking at this discussion.
Yeah. So basically, just to kind of reiterate what I want to talk about, I want to talk about this I guess you could call it quote unquote need that some people have to be a part of the conversation. So I feel that some people will just watch something just so they can talk about it. You know, like, let's say there's like a long running series, they'll skip the entire series and they'll watch like the current season to be up to date with it, and they'll ruin the show for themselves, right? It's like, it's like watching season 3 of Attack on Titan, but you skipped seasons 1 and 2 just so you could talk about the new hype thing, right?
That's I couldn't see, my OCD brain could never in a million years allow me to do that, because like if I see, let's just say I see a moment like people are spamming on Twitter like, oh, this fight between Takasugi and Tomura Katsuya, whatever the fuck, was incredible. I'm going to be like, okay, it's on my radar. Let me go to episode 1 and start this so I can eventually get to that point. I could never, my mind won't allow me, because I'll just be like, what the fuck am I doing? To jump to like, season 17, episode 8, just to see that moment, because I won't get nothing out of it.
I agree. I totally agree. Like, but I it reminds me of like I remember one person who they were like, oh, can I skip the first season of Clannad and just watch Clannad season 2? Because that's the season that everyone likes. And I remember I was telling this person like, no. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, yes, it's true. Like Clannad, After Story, which is season 2, that's the season that everyone loves and everyone praises, because that's where shit goes down. That's where like shit gets really good. But none of that's gonna mean anything to you if you didn't watch season 1, because season 1 establishes the characters. It gets you invested in each of the characters, their storylines. You see their arcs, like just watching season 2 on its own isn't going to show you why everyone loves it so much. You need that build up. You need that foundation.
That honestly just, to me, comes across as like nonsensical. I can't even think of the words. Just like, you could look at a moment because, hey, if it passes your attention, like I said, you're on Twitter, you're on YouTube, you're subscribed to somebody that made a video about it, and the title and thumbnail gives you an idea. Yeah, no problem. Hey, you can't help that shit. Why not? Of course, you see it. But to actually go and say, oh, so episode 26, Bleach or whatever, is like, it had a great fight. Let me jump on that. I don't see any logic behind it, other than like you really want to be able to say something, but you have no merit in your opinion. That right there, especially if you're trying to just be like a part of the conversation, you're not. You have no valid opinion, because you're chiming in with like 1% of the knowledge. Like, unless it's some really fucking episodic anime, like let's just say a Case Closed, and for whatever fucking reason people are talking about like episode 950 of Detective Conan Case Closed, about a case which will probably never happen until the end. I could throw the argument there, like, okay, it's so episodic, all you need to know is he was a detective that got turned into a kid, and here we are. But like, that's a very, very minuscule, or I can't even think of the word right now, but basically that's not gonna happen more than likely. So I don't know, that's just a fucking waste of time in my opinion, and I would never do it again. Hey, if that's what you do, that's what you do. I just think that you'd probably be better off getting into it from the beginning, not skipping ahead, because what are you doing?
No, yeah. And, on some level, I understand, right? Like, people want to be a part of the conversation. They want to know what everyone is excited about. And they want to be able to talk about it, too. I understand it. And I get it. But at that point, you need to realize that you're not interested in the thing itself at that point. You just want to be, accepted in the community. And I understand wanting to be accepted in the community, but you shouldn't force yourself to watch something that you're not really interested in. Like, because let's be real, if you're like skipping parts, or if you're only watching something for the hype, it's because you don't care about what it is that people are excited about. And then at that point, what are you doing? Like, isn't there like something better to be doing with your time? Shouldn't you be investing that time in something that you're actually interested in, something you actually want to check out? Like, yeah. The only time I will personally check out something that is hyped up is because something about it interests me. Like, like it looks cool, or the story sounds interesting, or there's something about the characters that intrigue, whatever the fuck it is. Like, I would never get into something exclusively because, well, everyone is talking about it, I might as well check it out. Like, sure, that can be a part of it, but if that's all there is to it, I don't know. I think you should rethink why you're getting into it. Like, especially if you're going to skip huge parts of it.
Like, there's a difference of, like, okay, if it initially catches your eye, like, okay, look at, for example, the fall season of anime. What I do, not all the time, but whenever a new season of anime starts, I just check out a fuckload of shit. I don't know if I'm gonna like it. I don't know none of that shit, but I'll check it out. See, that's a big difference from that, because that's okay. That's like, hey, you're just checking shit out. You want to see if you like it and stuff like that. Or even if you hear hype, again, like what we was just talking about, you hear hype about it, and that kind of sells you into checking it out. Like, but if you're exclusively only checking it out because of, like, hey, I want to debate this point about this that you have no fucking idea, or some shit like that, I see right there, like, okay, that's problematic. But if you're sold, like, if I sold you on, like, or the community sold you on, like, everybody's talking about Demon Slayer because it's hype and shit like that, and you're like, well, let me see what the hubbub is about, then I think that that's okay. But if you're exclusively doing it because you want to debate a point, or just because you want to be in the know, like, you don't care, you're not interested in even enjoying this shit, you don't give a fuck about none of that, you just want to be in the know, I think that's stupid.
Yeah, I agree with that. Going back to Clannad real quick, because it just reminded me. So, like, I remember when I checked it out for the first time, I remember I was, like, scrolling through Netflix, and then I came across it, and I was like, what the fuck is this? Like, it looked, like, the cover of it looked like every other generic, like, high school anime.
Yeah.
But then I looked at the reviews on Netflix, and I swear to fucking God, like, nearly every single review was 5 stars, 5 stars, 5 stars, 5 stars, 5 stars. Like, it was endless. It was endless. And I kept looking, and I was just like, blown away. I was like, no one is saying shit about, like, nobody is shitting on this. And that alone, made me want to check it out. So there are times where, I mean, I don't know if I go as far as to say that was hype, because that was, just some reviews that I read. But I think there are instances where, like, the positive reception of something will be enough for you to want to check something out. And I ended up really liking Clannad in the end. So, but at the same time, that didn't come from a need for me to want to be a part of the conversation. That came from a desire of me to just want to get into the show itself. So it's a little bit different.
Yeah. I mean, that's we just kind of tackled a couple different avenues, like you said, these reviews, the community being on fire about it. I mean, to put a broad statement on it, watch something because you want to watch it, because you want to be enjoyed.
Yes.
Whatever it is you want out of that show in terms of enjoyment, or maybe you want to learn something along the lines of that, go for it. Just don't do it for the sake of being a part of a discussion without having any second thought or caring of actually enjoying it. I mean, after all, we do watch anime and read manga to enjoy, right? Yeah.
Yes, exactly. That's the most important thing. At the end of the day, this is supposed to be something that we enjoy. It's our hobby, right? Like, we get into this stuff because when we're using up our free time, we want to use it, something that we think is worth it. And why do that for something just to feel like whatever, so we can feel part of the conversation or what? No, use up your free time on something that you actually are interested in, something that you want to enjoy, something that that you'll become passionate about.
Let's quickly segue into something a little less heavy, because I feel as though we was like on attack mode right there.
Yeah.
Let's jump into a friendly game of Who Wants to Be an Anime Fan. I don't know, it's been like a couple episodes now since we did this, but Shintai got one ready to go, so we're gonna go with it. Shintai, shoot it at me. Go ahead.
Alrighty. Here we go. Here's Who Wants to Be an Anime Fan. Alright. So, Ghost in the Shell,
oh boy,
is a popular multimedia franchise based on a manga, which spawned multiple films, series, and video games. But what does the title itself actually mean? Is it A, real ass ghosts that live in seashells? B, it's a metaphor for sex? C, it doesn't mean anything? Or D, ghosts refer to consciousness and the soul, and the shell refers to what houses it?
Well, I doubt it doesn't mean anything, because, like, what? So, we're gonna remove C. Sex? I don't know. You know what? I'm gonna roll with D. I think that sounds like a logical explanation. Maybe I'm off. Maybe you're totally tricking the fuck out of me with that. But that sounds very logical. So I'm gonna roll with D. The shell embodying and whatever the fuck you just said.
Do you want me to repeat it just in case?
Go for it. Yeah.
All right. So, Ghost in the Shell is a popular multimedia franchise based on a manga, which spawned multiple films, series, and video games. But what does the title itself actually mean? Is it A, real ass ghosts that live in seashells? B, it's a metaphor relating to sex? C, doesn't mean anything? Or D, ghosts refer to consciousness and the soul, and shell refers to what houses it?
Okay, now that I hear A again, it's definitely not A. So it's either really fucking raunchy, which older series like that could very well be masquerading with that, or the one that could be a trick, or it could just genuinely be the answer with D. I'm gonna roll with D because it sounds logical. If I'm off, hey, that was a great guess. Let's go with D.
Final answer?
Finalmente.
You are correct.
Hey! I really thought, I was nervous. I was like, is Shintai throwing me a curveball? Is he trying to take me right now? Like, yo.
When I was writing it, because, like, yeah, the answer's kind of complicated. It is like, yeah, the ghosts refer to your consciousness and the soul, and the shell refers to, like, your body, or whatever is, like, encasing the soul. And it's kind of a complicated answer. And I thought because it was so complicated that it would really easily give away that was the real answer.
So for people, because Ghost in the Shell is a legendary franchise as a whole.
Yes.
What would you say in order should people watch? Because there's so much of it. There's films, there's the live action with Carmen Electra. There's so much shit out there. What do
You mean
should people go?
Scarlett Johansson?
Where the fuck did I come up with Carmen Electra? I don't fucking know. Shit.
So personally speaking, I love the original 1995 film. It is a masterpiece in my mind. It is one of my favorite anime films. It is fantastic. So definitely watch the 1995 film. But there's also the series by Production IG called Standalone Complex.
That's the one that has been played the fuck out on Adult Swim for many, many years, right?
Yeah. So the only warning I guess I could give for that is if you're not super into episodic anime, you might not enjoy it. I think because there is still an overarching story, but there are a lot of episodes that are, they're just standalone stories.
Kind of like Bebop.
Yeah, exactly like Bebop. Bebop's the same way where there is an overarching story, and the episodes are in like continuity with each other, like they do relate to each other. But a lot of episodes are just like adventures that the characters go on, and they just gotta solve a problem or whatever. And if you're not into that sort of thing, which is understandable, it may not be your thing. But if that doesn't bother you, definitely watch the 95 film. And obviously the 95 film is just one story, and it's a great story. But like the series, if the episodic nature doesn't bother you, definitely give that a watch.
Fair enough. So, what we watched for the week? Oh boy. I'm gonna get my shit out the way because I'm really interested in Shintai's, and I think we'll ride that bad boy home. Because a lot of y'all already know I made videos about it, so I'm not gonna go into all of it. Obviously, I watched Dragon Quest. I watched Burn the Witch. I watched Jujutsu Kaisen. I'm forgetting one more. Dragon Quest, Burn the Witch, Jujutsu Kaisen. Oh, and of course, how could I forget? Shintai, you were supposed to remind me that's your job. That's your favorite. Yashihime Princess Half Demon. So
I was gonna bring it up anyway. So fucking whatever.
So all of that jazz. The one that I want to talk about that I was saving purposely. I didn't make a video about it because I really wanted to talk about it here on the podcast. Higarashi, formerly known as 2020. Now known as Higarashi When They Cry, Go. Boy, oh boy. So initially it was pitched to us as it's a standalone thing, or not standalone, I'm sorry, a remake.
Like a remake?
Yeah, it was supposed to be like, oh, this is them doing it again. Cool beans, all of that shit. And even, oh my god, y'all don't even understand what it did to me when the end of the episode started playing the very original opening. I got goosebumps seeing Reina with the fucking giant sword, axe, whatever the fuck, ready to chop this motherfucker. The machete, yeah. I don't know, I'm all over the place today with Carmen Electra and all sorts of shit. I was just like, oh my god, I love this shit so much. Like, I love that song. And I was like, yo, this is going to be great. A nice refresher. It's been a long time. Then episode 2 comes in. It's like, hey, by the way, this is a sequel, guys. We tricked you, haha. And I was like, yo, I love this trick. I'm tricking right now, fam. Because that shit, oh my god, I can't fucking believe it. Y'all don't even understand. Like, this is so perfect, too, for me. Because Re:Zero just wrapped up the first half of season 2. And When They Cry has a similar concept of, dying and coming back and trying to get through this shit with, its plot and shit like that. So getting into that, I was just like, yo, this couldn't have come at a better time. The fact that we're not having to get to, because I thought it was going to be 12 or 13 episodes in. Maybe they'll adapt the season 2 stuff. I didn't know exactly how they were going to do it. And to find out that this is a sequel, I'm so fucking in. To be honest with you, probably after I finish filming this, I'm gonna go pull out my When They Cry DVD and rewatch it from the beginning, because that's how hype I am. I loved it. The art and all of that jazz. Everything about When They Cry is just one of the best horror anime of all time. And the fact that they're coming back with a sequel and they tricked everybody, played everybody, was great, because they got people like newcomers to come in. They're probably going to go and rewatch the old shit now. But to a certain degree, I'd say that it kind of feels like, in a way, you don't need to go watch those, because remember, with When They Cry, it's based off a visual novel where you keep repeating the story. Like, you'll have 3 episodes that do the story, and then it goes back because, you know, the character dies or whatever, and then 3 again and 3 again. So I don't know how much, like, people will be lost if they didn't go back and watch the old shit. I'm interested to see how that goes. But boy, When They Cry, like, and again, I watched a lot of shit, okay? But I really, really had a great time with that, and I can't freaking wait for the next episode. We're 2 episodes deep at this particular point. And go watch Higarashi, When They Cry. Go. It's really dope. Again, preferably if you watch the older one, because it's a sequel, but I don't think you're going to be too lost getting into it because of the nature of the show and the way it's done. But boy, fall 2020 anime season has been something else. So many shows to choose from. If you're telling me that you're an anime fan and you can't find nothing to watch this season, I don't know what to tell you, because there's so much good shit.
Damn. Okay. I'll probably check it out myself then.
Yeah, buddy. So Shintai, are you ready? Are you ready to spill the beans on how much you loved and adored this Yashahime Princess Half Demon?
I just want to reiterate that I refreshed my Crunchyroll subscription for you motherfuckers. For you.
So go ahead.
I watched it, and I don't know. There's not much to say about it, to be honest. Okay, so I want to say that the episode felt like nostalgia pandering. Like, the whole thing felt like they wanted to recapture the magic of, like, an old episode of the show. Like, because a lot of the show was episodic. The original show was just like, oh, this episode is about how they found a piece of the Shikon jewel in, like, this fucking random
Kagome's
village
butthole.
Yeah, you know, and Inuyasha had to slam his dick in her asshole in order to, like, get the jewel out. Like, usually the episodes are just like, you know, oh, this village is dealing with a really strong demon. Oh, this demon has the Shikon jewel. They gotta beat him up, and oh, they've got another shard, and whatever. So this first episode, most of it felt just like that. It just felt like, hey, look, it's the gang again. They're fighting some demon, you know. It's them being themselves or whatever. Even though they're like, I thought this was really weird when Kaede was like explaining to Inuyasha and Moroku who Naraku was, and I was like, they should know.
100 million episodes later, let me tell you about the motherfucker who's been trying to kill you all this time.
Yeah, I was like, they killed him. They know who he is. Like, that was so weird.
Well, okay, let's throw a bone. Kaede's really old, you know. Maybe she forgot.
Oh, come on. Get the fuck out. No, the reason she did it was not for the sake of the characters. It was for the sake of the audience who may not have watched the original show. But what the fuck are you doing watching this show if you didn't watch Inuyasha?
Believe it or not, there are people that watch Boruto religiously that never seen an episode of Naruto, which boggles my fucking mind.
I believe you. I believe you.
You said that with such, like, discontent in your voice. I believe you, bro. I can't fucking believe these mongrels.
I remember there was a meme where like there was a picture of Boruto with his dad, not and then there was like an after image of Naruto when he was a little kid, and the text was like, did Boruto's dad have a son that died?
Oh my god. Dude.
And the thing is, it was probably a joke, but it's just as likely that it was genuine. Fuck, man.
Yo, no, I don't understand that. Like, and then with Inuyasha, like, I don't know, like, why? I mean, I could see. How can I say this?
It's the hype. It's what I was talking about before. It's people wanting to be part of the conversation.
Yeah.
It's the hype.
Nice tie-in, by the way. Very, very well done. Oh, shit. But, like, with Yashahime, I'll say Yashahime, I'll give them 1% more leeway than I'll give people that jump into Boruto. And I'll tell you why. And mind you, I'm way more invested in the Boruto Naruto verse franchise, all of that, times 1,000 before I'll ever be into Inuyasha and Yashima. So don't get it twisted. This is very unbiased. Boruto, in the fucking title of the anime, says Boruto Naruto Next Generations. On top of that, it's still very much so from everything you see in Jump that it's like pushing that, yeah, it's going to be about the new kids, but oh man, their parents is going to be all over the place, they're going to be involved in shit, so you're still going to be like feeling out of place, I guess you could say, if you was to jump into that without ever watching Naruto. On top of that, I don't know, my mind can't wrap around that shit. With Yashahime, there's no Inuyasha in the title, that's for starters. It's Yashahime Princess Half Demon. It almost looks like it's marketed to an entirely different demographic. Boruto looks like it's marketed toward a different demographic in terms of like it's trying to get younger kids, but not a different audience. Yashahime isn't really trying to push towards like people that want romance and love. It's like these 3 little girls that are going on an adventure. Oh, and yeah, their parents are legendary. Your parents might know them. Like, I don't know. I feel like there's a slight more leeway.
Sure. Yashahime, compared to Boruto, it probably fares better. Like, I don't know for sure, but at least based on how you've broken it down, it it's not as egregious. But again, at the same time, I feel like most of the people watching Yashahime are people that are fans of Inuyasha.
Yes.
I think that's fair to say.
Yes.
And speaking of which, I thought it was really weird because this episode, again, is so focused on the old gang. We barely see the new characters. Like, we see one of them at the very beginning, and then for the whole episode, it's the old gang. And then at the very end, we see the 3 of them, and then the episode's over.
Yeah, it was like you got a tiny little piece of, I think her name is Toa in the beginning. She's like tied up and shit. And then it cuts into like if the episode is 22 minutes, it's like about 17, 18 minutes of Inuyasha and the gang. About a minute in the beginning with Toa, and then about like 2 minutes with Moroha, Toa, and the other chick. Like, ridiculous, because it's Yashahime Princess Half Demon, not Yashahime Daughter of Inuyasha or some shit.
Yeah. So, one of them seemed like a female Inuyasha. Like, she had long black hair, she wore red, she even had a katana, she was like really reckless and abrasive, and I was like, that's just basically Inuyasha as like a young girl.
Moroha, yep.
Yeah. And then there's another one that basically looked like Sango as well. Like, it was basically just Sango.
I gotta just keep it 1,000. I don't care how this comes across, but every time since I watched the original Inuyasha that I've thought of Sango, I just always imagine Moroku filling up on her ass. Even hearing her name, it just like reminds me of ass feeling.
I mean, I can't blame you because that's like he did that like every other episode to her.
And now
Like,
he'd get canceled for that shit.
well, now he's married to her.
But, you know, like, if Inuyasha aired nowadays, can you imagine the outrage of every fucking episode this dude is just rubbing on this girl's ass and she kind of doesn't want it?
You know, it's funny because like he did that to Kagome in the early episodes,
And they cut
and then
that shit out.
He cut that shit out when Sango entered the picture.
With Sango or Kagome?
When Sango joined the group,
No,
he cut it out.
I'm saying Sango or Kagome. Choose.
Oh, you're asking me which one I prefer between the two?
Yes.
Sango.
Really?
Yeah. She has that mascara. She's a bad bitch with the fucking big boomerang. Like, she's cool.
I don't know.
Hey, I'm not throwing shade to Kagome. I like Kagome too. But Sango's more my speed.
You know, between all of them, I gotta be honest, and it's funny because I ranted about her. Like, I had a real intense rant about this woman in my video about the episode and shit like that. I really went in. But I'd say out of all of them, for me, best gal is Kikyo.
Kikyo! Yes! I knew it.
She's more my speed, bro. Like, the older, like, she's kind of like, I don't know, she kind of reminds me almost like a to a certain degree, Gasai, of like, this bitch is so jealous and she wants Inuyasha, but she's so mad that she's just fucking dead. So she's just doing all sorts of fucked up shit. It's like, I don't know. I like Kikyo.
The only problem with Kikyo is that, like, yeah, she's dead. That's not like that's like a clay body or whatever. That's like not even really her. So that kind of puts a damper on things.
It's really, really fucking sad that, keeping it 1,000, if Kikyo was really alive, I think in the end Inuyasha wouldn't have been with Kagome. They wouldn't have ended up happily ever after. His heart to this day in that Yashahime episode, Kagome says, "Oh, but I bet you would have said yes if I was Kikyo." Like, his heart will always want Kikyo.
I picked up on that too. Yeah.
They would have never gotten together. He wanted Kikyo. He's still, probably to this day, whatever the fuck happened to him in between the end of Inuyasha and Yashahime, he's probably there still playing with his fucking balls, wishing that Kikyo was around.
Yeah, that's kind of fucked up to Kagome, who's like sloppy seconds almost.
And she loves it, every minute of it. So, final verdict on Yashahime's first episode. What do you feel? How are you feeling right now? Are you gonna watch more? Are you enjoying it? What's the deal?
The opening sucked. Can I just throw that out there?
Okay, we getting petty here, huh?
I just want to throw it out there that opening track was trash.
Well, it's hard to measure up to "I want to change the world." Kanashi sekai. You can't measure up to that. Come on.
No, that's true. I don't know. I don't know if it's. I'm gonna put it like this. I don't think this episode is a good way to judge the rest of the show because it's the old gang. It's not the new characters. We saw the new characters for like 2-3 minutes. So it's totally unfair of me to like go based on this episode whether or not I would like the rest of it. Because I don't really know anything about the new characters aside from like one of them is clearly like a female Inuyasha and the other one is clearly just Sango 2.0. You know, like...
I thought more that they were kind of like two halves. The other two chicks, Toa and the one with the long hair, were like two halves of Sesshomaru. Like, especially the one with the long hair, she gave me those serious... Because those are Sesshomaru's daughters.
Both of them?
Yeah. We still don't know what who.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that. Okay. It's just that she was wearing like the same getup as Sango, so I actually thought that was Sango's daughter.
No. The whatchamacallit says Shomaru. So you know what this means, right?
Okay. I have to watch another episode.
Precisely, mate. Precisely.
I guess I'm here just to suffer.
There we go. That's how
Yeah,
I look
whatever.
at me.
Whatever.
I honestly,
okay.
I
all
agree
right.
with you. I agree with you. I think that there was definitely, like, anybody that watched that first episode, to be honest with you, it was just, hey guys, if you love Inuyasha, come along, come watch this. And then they're probably hoping and wishing that people will stick around with 2 and beyond with the new cast, because they fan serviced us with, hey, here's Inuyasha, here's Kagome, here's Sango, here's Moroku, here's fucking Kaede. Like, it's kind of like been par for the course, like kind of what I've been talking about, of like using older IPs to push new stuff. You know what I mean?
You know what it's like? It's like when you get a nice tug and then you come and now they're hoping that like you don't walk away after that post-cum clarity.
That is so raw. Okay, people, that's been the episode. Thank you.
Yes,
Oh shit. Yes, people. So
we keep it raw.
Very
On this podcast.
explicit, mate. Very explicit. It seems as though, yeah, we'll have to revisit this at a later podcast to see Shintai's updated thoughts.
Yeah, fuck it. I'll watch another episode. I'll do it. Fuck it. Whatever. Blah.
Sounds fucking
I can't
good.
run away from this show.
Sit, boy.
I want to change the world.
That does seem to be the episode. Curious what you guys watch and think. In particular, for starters, what makes you give a fuck about an anime? What's your thoughts on people jumping on the bandwagon just for the sake of dialogue, not caring about the show? And for this upcoming, or this starting now, fall season of anime, what shows have you been watching? Is it the stuff that I've talked about, something that we didn't cover on this podcast episode, any gems that I haven't caught, or something you want to recommend us to talk about in the next episodes? And yeah, that's an episode, people. I'm ForneverWorld. He's Shintai Reviews, aka Yashahime Fanboy 22. And
Yep.
have an awesome day,
22. 2020, bitch.
There we go.
We in the current year. We're riding this bitch into the end of the world.
The worst year. Have an awesome day, people.